Hey, I'm just sending Will another link. Sorry, everyone. Hang on. I know I've gone off the screen for a second. Not even stressful. All right. Hey, okay, we better? I just sent Will a new link. Let me just go on to... So sounds better, yeah? Okay, so that's the issue. I'm never going to get off this damn phone. Yay! Yay! Sarah, could you please post a link to Twitter for me of this new stream, please? Hey, Will. Technical issues. I'm going to bring Will up on stage and say hi because 7 minutes is long enough. Hey, Will, how you going?
How's it going? I see you got it fixed.
Oh, you know, life is amazing. I'm not even sweating. So I have issues with running StreamYard through my laptop. And so I've been trying to work around using my iPad as my StreamYard and having me as a guest. And I thought I'd fixed it, and I hadn't. So here I am, just on my phone again, just raw dogging it.
Okay.
So, yes, thank you. Hopefully people will find it soon enough. How have you been?
I've been good. I took a nice long nap after the hearing because I got up really early today and was productive. And then woke up and there was the young jerks with Mazza and Mark Betterow and
Yes.
now I'm here.
Fantastic. Sorry it's so late. I just didn't want to overlap with the young jerks too much, so hence my my timing of 9 o'clock. But I appreciate it's late for you.
I'm glad because I got to take a nap.
Yes, and also watch Mazza and Mark and Mike. So
I had
fantastic.
no idea how tired I was. And then I was
Well,
like, oh, man.
you have been going live a fair bit, a couple of times a day, some days, right?
Some days, yeah. But not yesterday. Yesterday I only went live once.
But it was
Where
3.5 hours.
it usually is, give or take 3 hours. I usually try to keep them around 3 hours.
Yes, fair. It was an amazing show with Melanie Little yesterday. I think you would. It was such a great vibe.
Yeah, it really was. I had a feeling that that conversation was going to go as naturally and pleasantly as it did. So I'm really glad and I'm really grateful to her for joining me yesterday. I had a great time.
And it was very rather titillating to hear Melanie use some cursey words on stream.
Well, it's not like she doesn't curse. She just runs her channel in the
Yes.
most. Yeah, I mean, most YouTube creators do. I mean, there's a YouTube algorithm and there's keywords and blah 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 and all that sort of thing. And in order to get the most success on YouTube is to play by the rules, and I mean, I don't know why. I'm not speaking for Melanie. I'm just saying that it's not uncommon at all whatsoever for people who would probably curse in their everyday life to not curse on their YouTube channel. It's
Well,
quite common.
I'll give you full range of cursing here because I fucking curse, and I probably curse less on my channel than I do in life, but only marginally. So all the words are go here, Will. Absolutely.
Well, fucking A.
Yes. So I thought that we could have a pretty amazing chat with you and I both kind of following three similar quite closely three cases yes. So Sarah Boone happened this week. We had the Sandra Birchmore hearing. and then obviously Karen Reid today. Shall we start with what happened today, seeing as it's in the fore of everybody's minds? How did you like Mr. Marty Weinberg?
He kind of blew me away. I really liked Mr. Weinberg. I thought that he was a breath of fresh air. And I don't mean that in the sense that like I mean, I feel like every time I hear Yannetti or Jackson speak, it's a breath of fresh air. But as far as a new member of their team, I feel like he has an less of an air of being quick to be aggressive. And he was very I found him to be very comforting, and I found his approach to be very very easygoing. He touched with kid gloves. He was very respectful to Judge Bev, and he was very I wouldn't say, you know, that he was kissing up to Judge Bev, because he was very direct about every single point that and I felt like he left little room to argue, and while at the same time just being very pleasant natured the entire time,
He had that
without he didn't come
mild
off like
grandchild. Mm.
right. He had he didn't
Like a
come off
grandfather.
like, this is what's going on, Judge, and it's an injustice if you do this, and blah blah blah. He didn't come off negative in any way, shape, or form. It was all just very, hey, we've got this issue here, and I feel like we can all come together as professionals without, you know, violating my client's rights and anyone else's, especially the jurors, and we can all come to an understanding here where everyone's happy. And it's within all our power to do so. That was the vibe I got from him, and I found that to be very pleasant.
Yes, he delivered his punches with kid gloves, didn't he? He didn't pull any punches. He delivered them all, but he did it with such a lovely kind of old man way. It was hard not to love him, and it was a shame
Right.
that his so low. But I feel you, because I just spent 7 minutes trying to fix my own audio. So, yes, I appreciated the points he made with regards to other cases where in recent years, or even months actually, where other cases that jurors have been brought back, for example, in the Alec Murdoch case with Becky, the court reporter, court clerk, who had been perhaps meddling and and Judge Newman, I'm a fan. So that was great. What about Lally? Ugh.
I mean, as unimpressive as ever, you know.
It's like he
Uh,
stooped levels of unimpressiveness.
sure. I mean, it looked like he had prepared, you know, but I don't think that his argument, I don't think it seemed like his, I feel like by them having Weinberg handle this, and this is what he was brought on for, really, in the first place. But I feel like having Weinberg on kind of threw Lally a curveball, because he was expecting to deal with you know, the usual Jackson Yannetti dynamic, just with a new member. And I don't think that he was prepared for Weinberg's very comforting, soothing approach. And so, you know, he was a little bit more aggressive and ready to rebuttal, as if he was ready to rebuttal and oppose Jackson or Yannetti. And he had this very kind, nice older gentleman up there, where Judge Bev was just looking at him like, you know, and yeah, and he didn't see that coming. So he had this whole thing prepared and barely, you know, and I thought it was masterful on Weinberg's part to put to put it on Lally and say, I hope Mr. Lally will join us in getting everyone justice here, and in getting Karen Reed justice, not just my client, but also, you know, respecting the jurors' rights, and everybody here seems to have an interest in justice. So I hope that Mr. Lally will join us all in getting in seeking justice here. So
Yeah.
he didn't make Karen Reed out to be a victim in any way. He didn't. He just was very direct about the facts, and you know, we have a problem here. There's you have jurors who are coming forward saying that they voted unanimously on 2 out of 3 counts to acquit, and you can't just ignore that, you know. And he also made it a very good point to point out that nobody's come forward disputing these claims. No juror has come forward saying that's not true. So that speaks volumes. So the fact that you have jurors who just individually or just not individually, but independently came forward and were like, there's something wrong here. We this doesn't sit right with us, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually that mention that you said, where he said, not that I'm, you know, they presented a great case, but it was a case fought hard by the defense also, and that we hope that the prosecution will also join us. I actually clipped that of all of his 37 minutes or whatever it was that attorney Weinberg was arguing his main arguments. I clipped the 2 minutes of that and just put it as a grab of a video. I thought it was quite pertinent. Like, that was the essence of everything, is basically like, do the right thing. This is ludicrous. And we know everybody should join hands together in kumbaya and dismiss counts 1 and 3, right?
I mean, yeah.
Attorney Betterow made a good point just before on the Young Jerks, where he said he was surprised that what's her name? God, now I can't think. McLaughlin, Lally's sidekick, didn't do that argument, because she has done mostly a lot of the pre-trial stuff. She's done a lot of the hearings and things. It was interesting to see Lally say, "No, hold my beer. I've got this."
I expected that, because we didn't hear much from her during trial. So, you know.
No, but yeah, she's the one that did a lot of the pre-trial stuff and argued a lot of the hearing, the motions, I think. So, but I think he's so deeply entrenched in it being his battle, his fight. I think he's probably hubris. He's taking it quite personally. Yeah.
I mean, yes, possibly, but I think it was more about just the fact that he's going to want to take the lead on something so important and so vital to the case. I mean, this isn't just a motion like to suppress
Evidentiary.
yeah, you know, to suppress certain pieces of evidence or anything like that. This is a motion basically that dictates whether or not there'll be a retrial, more or less. So it makes sense to me that Lally would be like, okay, I'm going to handle this one, just to be on the safe side.
Absolutely. And actually, now that I think of it, he also was at the last one a couple of weeks ago. It was Lally, not whatever her name is. God, I can't think of her name. Is it McLaughlin? Yeah, it is, because Katie McLaughlin had the same name as her.
Right.
And then his rebuttal, Marty Weinberg's rebuttal, was amazing also. When I was in high school, I was in the school debate team, and I was the rebuttal girl. So that really tickled my fancy. It's on the fly. I guess he was furiously typing while there was the hot mic moments going on with whoever that was, whispering at that table. I guess he was probably researching or double checking on the case law that Lally was citing to refute it.
Yeah, I mean, something I say a lot is I love when lawyers validate my shit. And I know that when I went over the opposition motion, and there was there was one particular case that Lally was referencing and trying to use as an example, and I remember reading it, and I was like, well, that's on 1 count. That doesn't apply. There's 3 counts here. There's 3 charges. So, you know, there's no there's no discussion on whether or not you know there's the whether or not there's a split decision on one or more charges when there's multiple charges, because there's only one charge here in the case that he's referencing. So it doesn't apply. And Weinberg pointed this out. He was like, well, 3 charges in this case, 1 charge in that case. This isn't the same thing.
It was like he was doing just talk, talk, and hopefully we'd all hear the talk, and or whoever. I guess Lily doesn't care what we're hearing, but and that we wouldn't listen to what's in the talk, the substance. But Marty called him on it, so it was quite a delight. And no surprise that Bev just went with, "I will take it under advisement."
I mean, I was satisfied with that, you know, if I'm being totally honest, because a big part of me, and I think a lot of us probably even expected, a part of us, each of us had a part of us that expected her to go, no, the decision's final. It's a mistrial, and you know, this is going to go forward to the date that has been already set. So the fact that she is going to take she's going to take some time to take it under advisement and consideration. And if she takes the whole weekend to do so, I'll feel that much better about it. So that's all Weinberg was asking. Weinberg was saying, just consider, please, you know, talking to the jurors. We're not asking, because Lally was trying to paint a picture that they're asking her to sit here and interview each of the jurors and find out where, you know, what they were thinking when they reached the decision and what influenced their decision and blah, blah, blah. Nobody's asking for all that. We're just asking, okay, well, just ask each juror what the count was as they remember it. What did they vote? And, you know, you don't have to ask why, just what was your vote? Was it not guilty or guilty on this count? That's it. That's all any of us is asking, you know?
And what's your prediction? How do you think she'll rule? Do you think she's going to go, no, see you in January?
Based on the lack of rationality in any of her other decisions, then yeah, I kind of expect that. Sure. I'm hoping for a different outcome, but I'm expecting that, unfortunately. So
yeah. Yeah, me too. And I mean, a pretty amped up vibe outside of the courthouse. When I first, I woke up at quite early. Also, Will, it was 3:45 here a.m. on Saturday for me to wake up in time for court today, and so I switched on to sorry, but the Young Jerks. I have to because I'm a moderator. But I love your channel too. I came on as soon as I was finished there. But and I was actually had to do a double take. The bullhorn stuff out the front of the courthouse, I was quite surprised. It had a different edge to it this time. How did you feel about that? Not in it wasn't. It was just more. It was less pom poms, more bullhorn. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the vibe that I was able to catch. I mean, I was kind of listening to it in the background and chatting when I could, because I was, you know, like I said, I had a pretty busy morning, and then I was trying to like get ready for my stream from what I was doing before. And right before I went live, Turtle Boy was on the steps and leading the peaceful charge, and that was really fun to listen to. It always is. It seemed like nobody. I didn't get an impression that anybody got out of hand. I saw that Mazza had interviewed Plevin, and LTL was there, and And Plevin, I mean, you know, at least he was respectful.
Yes.
I can't say anything negative about that. I mean, there were certain things that he was saying that I was just like, oh, come on, dude. Of course, but the fact that he was respectful and he didn't resort to insults, I thought it was commendable.
Did
You
he have
know, I'm
microphone?
always going to be fair. I'm not going to take any little slight opportunity to take jabs at Plevin when, you know, there's no need to. I thought it was I thought that he, you know, spoke respectfully and saw an opportunity to say his point and say his viewpoints, and he did so respectfully. I'm not going to trash talk the guy for that.
No. Sidebar. Plevin, that's your moniker, isn't it? True that he was calling you.
Oh,
We're calling him Plevin.
yeah, that's how it started because he at one point he kept referring to me as Bill.
Oh, Bill. Yes.
And so yeah, and I was just being funny, you know, reviewing his stream, and then I was like, well, what if I called you Plevin, you know, and then it just stuck. People picked up on it.
It's great. It's just perfect. It's so apt. Did he? I didn't see. Did he have his gigantic microphone today at court or not? Not this time.
I didn't see. I
No.
didn't see if he did or not.
So phallic, right? Phallic Plevin. Compensating,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. That microphone was it was just it was a comedy prop as far as I was concerned.
Isn't
It
every?
was might as well have been, you know, Carrot Top with a comedy prop.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to take him seriously. Is he serious, or is he a parody? Or do you
No,
think?
he's not an intentional parody, but he's definitely a parody because, you know, he uses a whole lot of word salad to sound intelligent, but when you just apply your common sense and listen to what he's saying, you go, wait a second, this guy is full of shit. Uh, because he doesn't actually apply any actual logic. While he'll say, you know, you have to apply logic, he actually doesn't, because he will deliberately leave certain things out as if they're not a thing in the case, to reach his conclusions. And then if you can catch that, you know, and he counts on, like, he counts on wearing you down out of boredom, so that you won't argue with him. That's what he counts on. He
Yes.
does it with his tweets. I mean, his tweets are like they're a book, each one of them, you know. And then you have, you know, when he does these live streams, he does the same thing, and he leaves out vital pieces as if they're not a thing in the case, to draw the conclusions that he draws. And then you're like, no, that's not true. That's
I
wrong.
wonder, I wonder if he's Adam Lally's brother from another mother, because they have very similar modus operandi with their argument.
Right. Well, anybody who argues that Karen Reed is guilty will do that. They'll do the same thing. So they'll do what they can to sound intelligent, and then try to get away with actually not making sense, hoping that people will just be mesmerized by words they're not used to hearing, you know, because they're stupid. Like, if you just look at Plevin's audience, it's made up of a bunch of ignorant morons. So
Absolutely. And then people just going in for a bit of a troll and a laugh, which I've actually never watched any of Plevin's stream other than where it's been roasted on another thing. So I'm
yeah, they're fun, man. Like, they're fun.
there. Well, yes, fun, but terrifying, really. The court TV thing with him. Has he been, do we know, has he been back on court TV in recent times?
Here's the thing: is I'm getting less and less angry at, like, when it comes to this case anyway. Like, misinformation is always going to make me angry,
Mm.
but when it comes to, like, you know, court TV, and having idiots like Julie Grant up there saying the stuff that she says, I don't worry so much about it as I did a couple weeks ago, just because, I mean, the comforting thought for me is, you know, you could dodge the truth all you want, but the truth is still there. All that actually matters is that the truth prevails in court. In the court of public opinion, honestly, it's already prevailing. You know, nobody's taking court TV seriously who's seriously following this case. So, you know, and that's court TV's fault for giving someone like Plevin a platform. You know, what you get to a point, you have, ever since Plevin has been a regular on that on court TV, you know, people are looking at court TV like it's just not credible. Like I can't even take you people seriously anymore.
No.
I was side-eyeing you and questioning whether I should or not, and then once you've started consistently having this fool on, now what am I supposed to do? I can't take you seriously at all.
No. Chat saying he was on Court TV tonight with Nick Rocco. So there you go. Question answered. They still think he is a credible, viable guest for their channel.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's just, it's Twilight Zone shit, man. Like all I could do right now is just find the humor in it until it's not time to do so. And those times do come and go, but right now we're in a part right where there's no sense in freaking out. Just find the shit that's funny about this. There are characters now. I mean, you know, Grant Smith Ellis gets taken away as a character, and then, you know, Plevin gets, you know, amplified. So it's just there's always somebody to entertain us.
So speaking of not being out terrified anymore, was there a time? I know for me there was a time in this trial trajectory that I was terrified. It used to wake me up at night and keep me awake at night. The whole like Karen Reid's predicament. Where did you peak with that, Will?
Where did I peak with what exactly?
With feeling like absolutely highly incensed and sort of, I had a lot of anxiety over her predicament, or her, you know, what was happening to her for the first probably 3 or 4 weeks of the trial. Then I eased into, foolishly, feeling confident that what was being presented to us in court through both the cross-examination and then the defense case in chief was that it was going to be okay, that the jury was seeing what we were seeing, and that it would be okay. So did you ever have a time where you were in kind of a frenzy of panic and anxiety about this whole thing?
No. I can honestly say that hasn't happened yet. There are times where I get frustrated, sure. Usually that happens with a decision that Judge Bev makes. But honestly, I think that I and I'm proud to say that I've maintained a consistent overall faith in the truth prevailing. So that's kept me pretty calm and not panicky at all this entire time. But mostly, but I have to say, I would be remiss if I didn't say that if Karen Reid didn't have the support that she has, I'd probably be more subjected to panicking. I'd probably be more subject to a panic or start to freak out and get scared. But seeing so many people seeing what this is, it's very reassuring. It helps you, it helps reinvigorate your faith in the truth and even the justice system, you know, to some degree, because at the end of the day, the people are the justice system. You know, we're always going to demand justice. Those locals are not going to just, you know, do you think people are going to quiet down or get louder if Karen Reid ends up in handcuffs and put behind bars in any way for any reason whatsoever at this point? I mean,
yeah, I guess the problem is that if it does, you know, the wheels of justice turn slowly and then they lock very securely. It's very tricky to undo what's done once it's done, as we can see right now with the mistrial being declared, and now trying to wind that back, even with affidavits and sworn statements from jurors that that's not what they wanted. Once something is final, it's very hard. The appellate process is long and arduous if she was to be convicted. So I guess the groundswell of public support can only help her and her Karen and her family feel buoyed and supported. But yikes.
Well, I mean, right. That's just as long as I have faith so far, as long as the people are, as loud as they are. I absolutely do. But, also just the fact that you have attorneys like Melanie Little and Mark Betterow being so loud and opinionated, and not worrying about so much about just like, I'm just going to discuss some legal insight, blah blah blah. They're like, no, she's clearly innocent. This is ridiculous, and it's a complete farce of the justice system in Massachusetts, and it's a problem. And one thing about what Mark Betterow was saying tonight that helps me take comfort is just the fact that, okay, let's say this does go to trial. All it's going to do now, I don't know if Mark Betterow said this, but I'm saying all it's going to do is show publicly how corrupt the justice system is, or at least how corrupted the justice system is due to a few corrupt people. But make no mistake, there's definitely a problem in the justice system in Massachusetts, especially. And what's going to happen is the whole world's going to see it if this goes to trial, to a retrial, when there's clearly no evidence against Karen Read. Clearly none. I mean, they've already used up everything. So the entire case, as far as all of the investigators, all of the higher up investigators that were involved in the investigation into the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, they're all under investigation, under internal affairs investigation by the Massachusetts State Police. Their credibility is completely fucked. So at this point, what are you going to do? Put them on the stand? And is Bev going to go, well, we can't talk about the fact that they're under investigation? Bullshit. Of course you can talk about why that they're under investigation. I mean, it's relevant. It's more than relevant. It's vital to understanding this case at this point. Absolutely. So the fact that these lead investigators can't credibly testify in this case, it's just a complete injustice in the first place that this would even go to. It's a complete injustice that it went to trial in the first place. If it goes to trial a second time, the whole world is going to look at Judge Bev and go, what is going on in Norfolk County? What is going on in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts right now?
So how do you think, so let's just say, let's assume it's probably a given that Bev says no, motion to dismiss, no talking to the jurors, we go ahead on the 27th of January. But given all of that, like the Commonwealth really has pretty much a full complement of very problematic key witnesses and key players in this whole thing. So do you think that they have enough, the Commonwealth or the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office have enough awareness or insight to look at that for what it's worth and say, even if we want to dig our heels in, we just can't take this to trial again, because who do we call as our witnesses? Everybody's credibility is shot.
Well, wouldn't they have done that already? Yes. I mean, like at this point, I feel like that's come and gone. That ship has sailed. So now I don't mean the ship has sailed like it's too late for them to do it. I just mean, like, as far as what my opinion goes, as far as would they do it, I feel like they would have by now. So I feel like that ship has sailed in the sense of my opinion, but as far as it actually happening, it's not too late. Hopefully, Lally will wake up and go, you know what? This is done. I mean, and it's quite possible that could still happen, considering this letter that was released by Michael Morrissey. And it seems like his hand was forced to release this letter, considering that they reference everything that any of these defense attorneys need to reference. They could do so through the United States Attorney's Office. Why? Unless they're still under investigation. Unless this letter that Morrissey released to certain defense attorneys in other open cases that Michael Proctor was overseeing, if that's the case, then I mean, and then they reference the U.S. Attorney's Office for anything that they need to reference. I mean, that tells me that this is all about that investigation. And so, and I wonder why there were certain cases and not other ones, because Michael Proctor is also part of other investigations that they didn't mention. So the Brian Walsh case wasn't mentioned, and Michael Proctor's the lead investigator in the Brian Walsh case as well.
And also
that's where I get worried.
And particularly because their key, I mean, as far as I know, and I don't know much about the case, but their key sort of inculpatory evidence is Google searches and Celebrite data, which I mean, Commonwealth, which is it? The same attorney's office is saying in one trial, nah, not credible, can't use it. In the other, this is how we're going to convict a murderer who got rid of his wife.
Well, the Celebrite data was the prosecution playing defense. Them trying to debunk the Celebrite data was them trying to debunk the defense's third-party culprit defense. It wasn't even, and that's where the prosecution really went wrong, in my opinion. Besides blatantly just failing to prove their case, on top of that, they were playing a lot of defense, where it's not the prosecution's job to play defense, yet they were very interested in doing so during this entire trial. So the jury sees this, even if they can't put their finger on it. That's right there in the back of your head. You know what I mean? If you're a juror, right? It doesn't feel right. It's not like, wait a second, something's not right here, and you may not even be able to put your finger on it. But this is like not got the vibe of a regular trial. So the fact that they are trying to debunk the credibility, the prosecution is trying to debunk the credibility of Celebrite data, even though Celebrite data is being used as evidence to try and convict people that are in other cases that the district attorney in Norfolk County is trying to prosecute. That's
wild.
That's insane. So right, exactly, totally wild. So
it's not even in the state, or the country. It's in the same, county. It's just
right.
Off the charts. You can't make this shit up.
Right. So here's in one case, the district attorney of Norfolk County trying to debunk the very evidence that they're trying to use to convict somebody in another case. It's insane. Like, there's no. That right there is should be telling the public how corrupt and how fucked up this case is. There's all these things right now that we're seeing. Lally moving forward with this case tells me that the longer this happens anyway, tells me that the original motion to dismiss and disqualify from the defense is coming to fruition. It's coming to light now. Their reasons for what they predicted, and they're showing they're not interested in justice. Michael Morrissey's district attorney's office is not interested in justice. They're interested in a win, and they feel that if they win and if they get a guilty verdict on Karen Reed, then they're validated. Everything that they did is in the investigation is validated. Their entire prosecution has been validated. But the problem is that there's no evidence to convict Karen Reed. Nothing that's credible.
I just wonder, there's just such a disconnect between their, digging in and saying we're going ahead with this. And like someone said in the chat before, Lally's arguments today were clearly where all systems go for this. But then all of these issues of their witnesses and the credibility and the zero evidence. It's just, I just don't. I'm interested to see if and when they actually get to a point where the Meatball Morrissey and Lally sit down and have a proper hard look at it, or if they're just going to go in guns blazing and pray. God
Well,
save the
that's what they've been doing. Is
Yes.
just going in guns blazing with they're just shooting without even aiming. That's what that entire trial was. They brought in witnesses to testify against Karen Read, and they were witnesses who the Massachusetts State Police didn't even interview in some occasions, barely interviewed, or took their sweet ass time to interview at some point, just showing that the investigation was trash. And they brought on witness after witness that testified as to how negligent the Massachusetts State Police investigation was. So it's just fascinating to me that they think that, and this happened one after the other. None of the witnesses were credible. So, and almost all of them were made out to be liars while they were on the stand. So I don't understand. Other than desperation, I can't think of any other reason as to why Michael Morrissey's office is moving forward with this case.
Desperation and ego, hubris. I think that they are just like, I think they're so used to getting their way, and they're so, pride cometh before a fall, Will.
That's what Alan Jackson said. Yeah, that's what he told me personally. We were speaking when I was there. That's what he told me. I was like, what is this? What? I don't understand this. And Nick Rocco's in the chat. What's up, buddy? I don't understand this. And it was thanks to Nick Rocco that I even got a seat in the courtroom. So thank you, Nick, for that. And I spoke to Alan Jackson I asked him this, and he was like, I mean, power. They're so drunk on their power that they don't even see failing. They're so used to being able to push everyone around and do whatever they want that they don't even see the downside to all of this. They don't realize what's happening here.
They're not looking at things objectively and reality. It's just they're so clouded in everything. And I think in life in general, the more energy, time, resources, money you put into anything, it's human nature to want to continue to try to make that investment good. It's just that this is so public on a worldwide stage, and it's a woman's life and future and liberty and her finances. What's your take on them possibly just wanting to drain her dry? Yes, financially.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, I feel like that's definitely a possibility. I'm not a lawyer, so I couldn't tell you definitively, but I'll tell you that it's a common practice in like divorce and in child custody cases where they just try to drain the other party to the point to where they can't fight anymore. They have no more funds. I've seen it more than once. So I in a criminal practice that I've never seen. I've never heard of that, but it might be the case. But it's kind of obvious, you know what I mean? Like if that's what they're trying to do, there's no way to hide from that, No,
it's the blinding lights of truth and justice is shining from all corners of the world, really. And it's embarrassing that they're not scurrying and with their tail between their legs and saying, okay. But yes, ego.
Right. It's they don't realize that it's more embarrassing for them to not just stand up in that courtroom and go, Your Honor, at this point, the Commonwealth feels that we've exhausted our case and we're going to move to dismiss it. That would actually earn them more respect than doing what they're doing right now in the public eye, and they don't realize it.
Do you think that I mean, obviously the feds being involved, and that's not so much with the murder trial, the death of Officer John O'Keefe, so much as the corruption, as far as I understand it. I wonder whether behind the scenes they think, I don't know, what, one last hurrah, just get this one done and dusted, and maybe the feds will go away. Lol.
I mean, that's what they're hoping for. I think that they think that again, that's what the defense said in their opposition or in their motion to dismiss prior to trial taking place, pre-trial. They think that that getting a guilty verdict is going to validate everything that they've done as far as the Karen Reed case goes. But the problem is that I guarantee you, if they are under federal investigation, they're looking at more than just the Officer John O'Keefe investigation. They're looking at all kinds of other cases, which is exactly why that letter was released. So,
yeah. Yes. Speaking of, that might be a good segue into Sandra Birchmore, because I guess there's well, we know there's an absolute definite and definitive link between the two. It's the same county. It's many of the key players. I was with you, or I think I watched it replay crew, but your covering of the hearing through the week. You know,
yeah, I'm still in the conceptual phases of understanding that case fully.
yes.
And as like the same thing that I did with the Officer John O'Keefe case, I kind of just did it live, and learned about it as I went, and so I'm doing the same thing with Sandra Birchmore, and I'm gonna have Mizzy on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and she's going to walk me through the ins and outs of this case, and I'm really looking forward to it, because she has been relentless in keeping this case in the public eye, and it's vital. If you're passionate about what's happening to Karen Reed right now, it's vital that you understand the Sandra Birchmore case as well. I believe that. I understand enough of it to know that.
So yeah, I feel like I haven't read any of the filings or the documents, but I do feel like with Sandra Birchmore I have some sort of understanding. And to me, the bare bones of it is that corruption, medical certificate, ME, cause and manner of death. Well, cause of death was
manner of death was homicide.
Yes, homicide, and then no, but it's suicide.
Well, no, they originally said it was suicide, but there was an independent medical examiner who took it over recently and then determined that it was homicide.
Yes, homicide, but that hasn't been changed officially. I think that's right. That was.
I don't know if it has either. I've heard some people say that it has, but I don't think it has been officially yet. But as I understand it, this medical examiner is very credible.
Yes, it's Bowden, I think. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
He's done a lot of things. I mean, even the fact that Sandra was found seated with a ligature around her neck. I think statistically, suicides by hanging are very rarely intentional, like death by hanging intentionally, not like erotica stuff is usually done from a standing position. It's not the most foolproof way to go about it. So I think that was very suspicious.
Yeah, there were a couple of things. There's and not to sound, it kind of it's not easy for me to talk about either, because I mean, even I still get queasy when I think about certain things. Even though I follow a lot of true crime cases, there are certain things that I hear about and I'm just like, oh God. But there are some graphic details that somebody pointed out. I was doing a live stream and I was listening to a medical expert point this out, say something about a certain part of her neck that would have
Yeah,
been broken or
the
was
hyoid
broken.
bone. Yes, yes, yes. And that's hard to do through a ligature, like a ligature strangulation. Hyoid bone, usually
Right.
manual strangulation, but by hands, because you need that angle of, yeah, awful.
Right. So I
Uh,
mean, this is stuff that can be proven.
mm,
I mean, because here's the thing: is and some might disagree with this, but I am of the opinion because I don't believe that John O'Keefe will directly get justice for what happened to him. I think all the physical evidence is gone. I think this is so messy that there's no way to, because I mean doubt can be applied in that case too. Now you know what I mean. We nobody knows what happened to Officer John O'Keefe once he went inside 34 Fairview, but we know that he went inside 34 Fairview. But unfortunately, that is definitely not enough to convict somebody. But here's where I get a little sentimental and I get a little deep. Is I choose to believe that Officer John O'Keefe will get justice in a different way if justice takes place for Sandra Birchmore. Considering, and the reason why I feel that way is because Officer John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer, and everyone says that he was a good cop and that he naturally was somebody who just wanted to help people. And if if him being cost justice and the public knows about it, and him being cost justice helps get justice for, helps shine a light and get justice for a victim like Sandra Birchmore, I feel like the kind of spirit that John has described it as being would be looking down at us and going, yeah, this will work. This is good enough for me. So I have to tell myself crazy things like this in order to keep going and stay driven and and keep talking about things like this. I get really corny that way.
no, that's not corny at all. It just shows that you're a true, proper empath. I've been quite heartened to hear your sort of
It
take
might
on.
just mean that I smoke too much weed too. You know what I mean?
I mean, it could be. I mean, why not? If you can, why not?
Yeah.
You've mentioned a few times on your channel about your disgust over the missing children, and the way that content creators sort of take that ball and turn it into nothing to do with the child or the missing and endangered
Oh,
person.
it's awful. I'm not saying that I'll never do anything to help missing kids again, but I've given up on doing it through YouTube. It's really disgusting. What I mean, that's the thing is I care too much about missing kids to talk about it on YouTube.
Mm.
And
It's
I've
such.
never thought that I could say those words out loud and mean them.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, it's well, I mean, the problem with that is, let me elaborate a little bit, is right now you have, like, what really indicated this to me, and I fought hard to try to control misinformation, try to not even control the misinformation, just try to use my influence to influence people to separate fact from rumor and realize that in the Summer Wells case, there's no facts to apply. There's All we know is that this little girl, nobody knows where she is. That's all we know. We don't know what happened to her. We don't know. Uh, there's no theory as to what actually happened to her based on any facts.
I have a
Um,
theory, and it's nothing to do with any. Sorry, I've just been. I believe that Summer actually might have been fallen asleep in the car on the way home. We knew that. And I think that maybe they pulled the car into the property, that Summer was still asleep in the car, that they left her in the car with the windows up, and she sadly passed away. I'm speculating. I think that maybe, and then they scurried to cover it all up. That's my
I think that's irresponsible.
absolute.
I think that's irresponsible, and the reason why I say that is because there is nothing to indicate that that's actually what happened, other than just the fact that there was a picture taken of her who fell asleep on the way back from a swimming hole, which is very common for a kid to do. And you know, they're trying to make it out to be like they took a picture of her to prove something. And
Oh
no,
no,
so they thought, I mean, what's wrong with a parent and a grandparent thinking that it's cute that the small child fell asleep in the car on the way back from the swimming hole? And so this is made out to be nefarious in some way and to make them look like they did something wrong. And
oh
in the way that I see it, and this is what pisses me off about the true crime community on YouTube when it comes to missing people, especially missing children, is this quick judgment as to the parents having done something when there's no evidence to indicate that they did, and they are the ones who are suffering the most out of anybody if they did not do anything nefarious to their child, to their missing child or their missing loved one. So the fact that they are suffering the most out of worry, and then adding the slander and defamation on them that they could have done something to their child on top of that, to me, I will not engage in the slightest bit. And too much of it happens because everybody wants to be more the sleuth and solve the problem and solve the case. They want to Scooby-Doo the shit over actually having empathy for the loved one of a missing person who is going through a hell that I don't even want to begin to think about.
yeah, I agree. I don't think, for me, I don't put any blame. I feel like it was a tragic accident. That's my thing. Just one
That
of
would
those.
still be blaming the parents
Yeah.
because what I mean, they had to have done something with her body. They had to have no way around not accusing them of something nefarious, even if it was
Fair.
so-called an accident. And I am not ready to do that with Dawn Wells or Candace Bly. I'm just not.
Yeah.
And now the same thing has amplified to a level with the Sebastian Rogers case, and I won't even touch that case. I won't even touch it.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion at this point. I mean, and you can clip this, mark it, do whatever you want with this, but I'm at the point that if you are a YouTube creator or a social media influencer who is doing anything beyond sharing Sebastian Rogers' name, description, and photo, you are a piece of shit. Because there is nothing to indicate that any of these parents did anything. You're capitalizing on the drama of a family going through a horrific ordeal, and they're fighting with each other, which tends to happen, and people are capitalizing on this. And I want nothing to do with that. I want nothing to do with any creator that engages in this, because I think it's disgusting, and there's a special place in hell for anybody who does. Go fuck yourselves.
Particularly if they're making money, like proper grifting, like
Totally.
Plevin, absolutely capitalizing on the grief and the sorrow and the frustration of parents of missing children. Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
So you've got Mizzy on Monday, and have you started diving into documents, or like you said, you're hoping to have her walk you through things in real time on your channel and go through it with your audience?
Well, I'm obviously, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go through documents, but I haven't engaged in that yet. The Karen Reed stuff is, I'm pretty hyper focused on one thing when I'm running my channel. I stay pretty hyper focused on one particular case, and I'm about to start talking about the Sarah Boone case too. But the Sandra Birchmore case is now where and me and Mizzy have been messaging back and forth for a while now. But she's been in direct contact with Cherry mostly. But before that, it was like, okay, I really want to have you on my show. I just want to get through this Karen Reed stuff right now, real quick. And then, transition into that And now is as good a time as any to do that, and to have Mizzy on to fill me in on some of this stuff, show me what to pay the closest attention to, and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to talk to Mizzy about this case, because I've been waiting to for a long time.
She is amazing. I was on the Young Jerks on a panel with Mizzy and a few other people. Kerry, one of my moderators, we're on there, and Mizzy is just so passionate and such an incredible champion for Sandra Birchmore, for justice for Sandra Birchmore. So it's quite amazing. So that's another great segue. Thank you, Will. Sarah Boone, wild.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
It's funny. I'm rooting for Sarah Boone. I'm not rooting for her to win. I think she's guilty as all hell. Absolutely, 100%. But I'm rooting for her to do well in presenting her case, in defending herself. I am, actually, for two reasons. A, because she has rights. You know, she's the underdog here. That's just how it is. And B, because I don't want this to turn into a circus. Like, will it be more entertaining if it does? Sure. But the person who really believes in the justice system in me doesn't want to see what happened with Darrell Brooks to happen in this case, in the sense that, I mean, I feel like that judge in that case, Judge Jenny is what I like to call her, in the Darrell Brooks case, I feel like she was an absolute saint. And I hated seeing her go through what she was going through on a daily basis in that trial.
I love Judge Jennifer Doro. She's like, I fangirl. She's my upper echelon top 3 legal women. She's gorgeous. She's amazing. She's patient. She's kind.
She was amazing.
So good.
Totally. So I don't want to see the judge in this case have to go through that. I don't want to see the justice system become a circus. Now, obviously, we're going to make fun of it when it does happen, and we'll have our jokes so that we don't drive ourselves crazy. But at the same time, I am actually hoping that she actually does a good job in defending herself. And I hope that her rights are met by the judge. And, I think that she should absolutely, I don't think that she should have a laptop and internet access in her cell, at night. I think that she has a fair amount of time to go over her case with internet access on a laptop and review. I think that that's fair. But I think that if anything could be printed out on paper, she should be allowed to review it in her cell after hours. I mean, lawyers can take their work home. She should be allowed to as well, in order to be able to properly defend herself if she needs to. As long as it's within reason, and she's not, I'm not saying that she should be allowed to watch Gilmore Girls while she's in her cell at night. That's not what I'm saying. But on paper, she's allowed books in her cell. If she chooses to instead of read Moby Dick, she can read the discovery in her case, as long as it's on paper. I don't see why that would be a problem. And I don't think it's fair that the jury see her in handcuffs when she's defending herself, because that leaves an impression on the jury that's already a bias. It's bad enough that they already know that she's defending herself and she's on trial. Appearances, she should be allowed to have that if she has not been, if she's not shown that she could be a direct danger to the court or anybody in the courtroom. So I feel like she should be given the benefit of the doubt and not be shackled, but her feet still have to be shackled. She won the motion to not have her hands, but her feet still have to be shackled.
How did you feel about her not standing to address the court in the other day? It rubbed me the wrong way.
Of course, everything about her rubs me the wrong way. She literally made me sick the other night. Literally made me sick. Now, I was hungover. I drank for the first time, and I drank wine, but I drank for the first time in months. And then and before that last time, it was months before that. I almost never drink anymore. And so I the next day I was so hungover, and I felt like I was over it. And then she was just talking, and the camera was on her, and I was drenched in sweat, and I just sweat poured down me, and then I had to turn my camera off, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'm calling it, guys, that's it. And Cherry was still on the phone with me, and she unfortunately had to hear me release what the mixture between the night before and the sight of Sarah Boone did to me, and in my toilet.
Oh,
So
oh, I feel
yeah,
you.
she is a nightmare, but
She is
she has
right.
rights.
Yes.
I want to see her rights met.
Yes. So she is an intelligent woman. She's a straight A student. She's always been very successful at everything she does. Um, uh, do you think that she'll be able to do what she needs to do? I found
No.
it no, I found it interesting that she said, but I
Like I
didn't want
said, I'm rooting for her to be able to do so, but I don't think it'll happen. I think that she is too entitled and too narcissistic, and that is the most overused word in true crime. Narcissism. And it annoys the shit out of me to hear it so much, but I don't I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not saying that she's a narcissist or suffers from narcissistic personality disorder or anything like that. I'm not diagnosing her, but she is definitely showing signs of narcissism. So, I think that she is too narcissistic to be able to conduct herself in the manner of which she is required to effectively defend herself in this case.
Did you find it interesting? She said, but Your Honor, actually, she probably didn't address him as Your Honor, but that she actually didn't want to be pro se. She wasn't that, she didn't want to.
No,
Well, what were you
right.
thinking? You know,
Well, no, what she thought was going to happen, and the judge is on to her. I love this judge because he's being patient with her so far. And he's letting her, and he ruled in her favor today, right? So he's being fair. He's showing the world that he is being very fair here and very patient with her. But the thing is she's playing victim way too much.
oh,
She's been playing victim since, during the interrogations, everything was about her. What about how I feel right now? My husband was left in a suitcase. I left him a little hole. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
mm,
But the thing is she thought, and the judge is on to her, she thought that she could troll the justice system. She thought that she could exploit her right to counsel, which is she would make it impossible for her court-appointed attorney to defend her. And then this process is going to take time. And then that person is going to be dismissed or file for recusal or whatever it is. And then she's going to get another court-appointed attorney because it's her right. And this process is going to go on and on and on. This is what she thought she could do. She
right.
thought she could stall her trial by exploiting her right to court-appointed counsel. But the problem is the judge finally put a limit to it and was like, this isn't happening. We're done. I'm not playing your game here. We're you are going pro se because you obviously can't work with counsel. You're meant to be. This is meant to be. So I'm calling it. So that's what I think the judge is pretty much doing. He can't say that, but that's basically what he's saying. And that's why she's going, no, I don't want to be pro se. I don't want to defend myself. But he's going, you kind of do. And that's where we're at.
Too bad, so sad, Sarah Boone.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So there was a hearing today. That's right, isn't it? Well, I didn't get to see that one. Did you watch that one?
No, I missed it. Yeah.
So much on in the world of law and stuff for us.
Yeah, I'll probably gonna go over it tomorrow. But I know the gist. Obviously, like I said, she filed a motion in regards to being handcuffed, and she won the motion, and I'm
So
glad that she did.
but she wasn't handcuffed in court the other day, was she? Or she was?
She was, as I remember it, she was.
And feet also? Yes.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, she wasn't shackled to the chair, was she? I can't get off the
No,
fact that she tries to
I
be.
right, because I thought the same thing. The fact that she didn't stand up, I was just like, wow, like this is bad already. Even you know any attorney knows that it's a bad look to not show the judge respect by standing up in the courtroom and addressing the court on your feet.
And that
And
there is also another little. I know you hate the word, but that's another indicator of her potential
nar-
narcissistic tendencies, because thinking that she's above all of the rules and all of the decorum, that's just, that's a perfect example right there.
agreed,
Yeah. And
agreed.
now her flyer for finding herself a lawyer was interesting. I think it was graphically quite good with,
I mean, any one of us assholes can do that on Pick Monkey. We all make thumbnails. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not impressed. I thought it was pretty ridiculous, actually. Like, it was just a show of how insane she is and how delusional she is. Because she thinks that she's fighting the good fight. Like, she believed that shit. Everything that she said in that flyer, she believes that shit. She thinks that she's somehow standing up for victims of domestic violence, and that's just a crock of shit. Sorry, it just is.
I agree. Yeah. I feel like it was probably the other way around in that relationship.
Her behavior is exuding this. It's beaming of this.
Yes, yes. The interrogation, her interrogation video is interesting. I don't know about the style of the detectives. They were very rather argumentative. Did you find that a little grating?
The interrogation videos. I mean, it's just frustrating to watch her and listen to her.
Full stop.
That's it. It just, that's what it boils down to for me is listening to her. Like, I'm obviously a glutton for punishment because I know what this trial's going to be. I know what it's going to be, considering watching the interrogation videos, watching her in the body cam footage, just everything. So, oh my God.
Dr.
Poor
Pepper.
me, and look at how this is affecting me. And we're just gonna see weeks of this shit, like there's no reason to suspect otherwise.
No, which is why I think that judge is the perfect fit for her. He seems very, very patient. I wonder if that was luck of the draw, or if it was he was allocated to her. Do you know if that was just one of those, Your Honor gets X, Y, and Z cases, and Sarah Boone happens to be there?
I don't even know. I don't have any idea.
The, yeah, the
And
universe.
that's the thing, is the other thing I like about this judge is not being an attorney, not being anybody who's ever worked in a courtroom in any way, shape, or form on any level. I look forward to this judge because this judge, again, he seems very patient with her, and part of that that very patient process that he seems to be displaying here is he explains how the law works with her. He explains why he's making decisions. He's explaining why he's failing to make a decision at that very moment. Whatever the case may be. And it helps me as a layman understand the law a little bit better. So it's like having the luxury of being able to watch a trial and cover it without having a law tuber right next to me explaining everything to me. The judge is doing it for me. So this is an opportunity to really learn about how the law works in a criminal trial, thanks to the fact that this judge is going to feel the need to explain so much to Sarah Boone as this trial goes on. So if we look at it as a blessing, it's going to be easier to this is kind of me mentally preparing myself for what I'm going to deal with. So I'm trying to find the blessing in it. And that is a very comforting blessing that I'm considering is learning a lot. through this shit show of a trial that I know it's going to be.
And no wine for Will during the trial, because you've already proven that wine and Sarah Boone are not a good mix.
Yeah, no, man, I'm not drinking till September, most likely. So
Sarah Boone, the trial is scheduled for the 7th of October. Is that right, or am I misremembering that?
Yeah, October.
Is it looking like it's going to go ahead? They've got the next thing on the 26th of September, the case management, I think. So
I don't know. She has I think on the 14th, is it? Or
he said originally the Tuesday the 24th, and then he said Thursday the 26th. I think that's case management.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any of the dates in front of me, and I don't have them memorized.
Do you if you had to compare what we know so far about Sarah Boone and Darrell Brooks, who do you think is more of a nightmare as a pro se defendant so far?
So far, Darrell Brooks, only because we've seen him in trial.
Yes.
So far, yeah. I mean, I can't make a fair comparison until this trial is at least a week into it, you know.
Yes, I guess I actually couldn't watch all of the Brooks trial, but I did watch the final day and sentencing. I just couldn't, the discomfort of like having to watch Judge Doro manage that situation. But I feel like maybe Sarah seems to be a little more balanced, a little less unhinged, but we shall see.
Man, when I was, I think so too. But I think that she is more manipulative and more effective in manipulation than Darrell Brooks. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yes.
But the thing was, man, I remember feeling like, and saying it when I was covering the trial, I was like, this Judge Jenny, man, I hope that she's got a man at home who is she deserves to be pampered from the moment she walks into the door, from having to deal with this all day long for weeks. I hope that every day that she has a man at home that is going to massage her feet, going to draw a bubble bath for her. She deserves, like, I mean, I was in awe of her patience with that man. I was in awe of it.
Are you familiar with the eye drops murder trial that Judge Doro also presided over, Jesse Krzyzewski?
I'm not, no.
This woman systematically defrauded her family friend, like an auntie to her, of all of her money, and then proceeded to feed her in her water Visine eye drops, and then ended up killing her, and then continued to defraud her after the fact of everything, and stole everything, and then it's a really interesting trial, and Judge Doro presided over it. Equally,
I remember hearing about it, and I was like, what, really?
It.
Somebody like really did the Visine thing? That works?
Yes, she even admitted to it, and like it was like 6 drops. I think it has a similar, when people poison their loved ones with progressively just adding it, like I think antifreeze, like gradually, so it makes them sicker and sicker. And then the final one that Jessie even admitted that, but she said Lynn liked to have eye drops in her water because she wanted to feel drunk, because it could apparently shouldn't maybe advertise this, but it can be somewhat of a date rape drug, like it's can make you unconscious. So and I think possibly tasteless, with without any flavor.
Well,
so
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and she staged it to be to look like Lynn had taken an overdose. She crumbled like pills and stuff all around on Lynn's chest and things. And she was found guilty, and she was recently sentenced. So, but that's an interesting one. If you've ever got spare time, Judge Jenny on Jesse Krzyzewski, I can't say the name, eye drops murder. Very interesting. And it also equally as much of a she was a little witch, that defendant too, similar to Sarah Boone, in writing endless long letters to the judge, and like just tried to smuggle out a letter to.
Because as long as she hears me, she'll understand. Because if she hears from the inner me, she'll understand. Come on, man.
Steph just said she thought it just gave you the runs. Well, maybe that's what Will had in his wine, was some Visine the other night.
Well, no, man, no, nobody got to my wine, but yeah, no, I mean, there's that scene in, what was it, Wedding Crashers? They did that to Bradley Cooper. They put Visine in his water, and it's tasteless and odorless or whatever, and then he was just puking and shitting. And I've had friends tell me, yeah, that works. But I mean, I had no reason to ever do that to anybody.
No, good.
But the fact that somebody did it and they stood trial for it is pretty amazing.
Yes.
And yeah, but I remember hearing about it, but I didn't really follow up on it at all. I didn't realize that it was the same judge either.
Yes, she's quite amazing. Oh, well, Will, I guess we've kind of run our natural course here. Actually, one more thing before we go, because we've got people here. I've got a little fundraiser for Karen Reed that I'm about to begin, so I may as well use this moment to bring it up. I'm just waiting on envelopes and stuff. Some of my people know I've made these little. Can I do it?
I can see it.
Free Karen Reed bumper stickers. There's 200 of them. I'm just waiting. Pink envelopes and little cards to be able to post them out, and that should be coming this week. And the way it will work is that if anybody would like a sticker, they can make a donation directly to Karen's Defence Fund, and my mods have been dropping that in the chat, I think, and then send me a receipt of that donation, minimum $10, just one entry per person, and then I will get their postal details and send them out to people. So that's just something I'm a little bit excited about doing. That we can't get the popcorn here in Australia, and I've really been quite devastated that I couldn't get on board the popcorn thing. So so that's that. So stay posted, everybody, for that information coming out of my socials this week, probably. So, Will, you've got tomorrow. What's on your calendar for the next few days that you've got planned for streaming?
Dude, I don't even really know. I'll probably go live tomorrow. If I do, I'll probably go over that Sarah Boone footage, and then maybe just talk a little bit more about what happened today. Yeah, that's
and
pretty much
Monday. Yes, Monday at 6 with Mizzy.
And then Monday I have 6 p.m. Eastern with Mizzy to discuss all things Sandra Birchmore.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure everybody here will probably be tuning into that. Great. Well, thank you so much, Will. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it was a late one for you. And thank you for your patience at the beginning where I had like no sound. But anyway, I'll get there. I'm a real YouTuber now, Will. So
it happens to the best of us, I promise. I had a really good time. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Thank you much. Well, take care. Get some more sleep unless you're knocked out of it already today. And I'll see you in your chat sometime soon.
Right on.
Thanks, all right. Will. Later.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Shorties, thank you so much for coming and spending a little bit of time with Will and I, the Glarer. Thank you for your patience with the whole sound thing. God damn it, I need to sort this shit out. I can't just be running it through my phone. Or maybe can I the whole time? It's working, I guess. And thank you for understanding about the volume and jumping over to the next stream. Really appreciate it. Make sure that you, if you haven't already, hit the like button and obviously subscribe. Oh, wait. Exciting news. I saw someone in the chat, I think it was Laura, asking how she could send a super chat. And thank you to whoever it was. I'm sorry I missed the name flashed up, for buying me a coffee. Appreciate that. But the exciting news is that my I finally became eligible to be monetized, to become a proper grifter. So grifting's going to grift any day now. I've submitted all my tax information and my personal details to AdSense, and it's all been approved. So now we just wait. We just wait until it's official. I feel like it's probably going to be sometime this week although we shall see. And many of you might have seen on my community page, on my community tabs, that I've been like pumping out the emojis for members only stuff. Yay! Yes, congratulations. Thank you, everybody. So once that all happens, obviously, like, you don't have to become a member. I'm not, like, honestly, I'm not doing this for the money, although maybe one day I can live off my sheer talent and I'm a fucking delight and live off YouTube. But I really just want for us to be able to continue to grow this community and share in some pretty special conversations, both in the true crime world, Karen Reed, etc., a bit like tonight, but also in my Let's Talk series, which thank you for your support, everyone, in that as well. But yeah, so memberships are coming. If you can become a member, I'd love you to. If only so your name's in green, but if you can't, just being here is all I really care about, because we are in this together. We're on a ride together, and it's been amazing so far. Thank you so much to Will the Glare for coming and chatting with me tonight. He's amazing. Tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern, I'll have Mazza and Katie. We're going to be doing a bit of pre-gaming before there's a round table at 7 with the Young Jerks, Nurse Kim, Attorney Betero. Who else am I missing? That'll be all. I'll share that tomorrow. But at 5:30, come and join us for pre-gaming, and we'll talk Karen Reed and stuff. Yes. Oh, one more thing. Can you please drop a comment after the live's ended? Could you please chuck a comment in the comment section on the video? It really helps get my content out into the algorithm by liking, sharing, but commenting, and I comment back. And I'd love to chat to you also, but yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Mwah, mwah. Bye, Shorties. Mwah.